Hello and happy Monday. Welcome to Mindset Monday. We are going to be talking about self-sabotage and all the amazing ways that we like to self-sabotage ourselves. It's so annoying. I have literally had every single one on my list today. So, if you've ever felt like you are going to set a goal, you feel super motivated, and for some reason you stop following through, you skip your workouts, you make excuses, or you forget to track, which yeah, I've literally had all of these things happen to me. Um, and suddenly you just fall back into your old habits and you're feeling frustrated and you're wondering, like, why do you keep doing this to yourself? Why do you always keep starting on Monday? And I want to give you some relief in knowing that this is just self-sabotage, which sounds worse than it is. Okay. I mean, it's very bad. Of course, we don't want to do it. But here's the thing, we have control over self sabotage. We just have to become more aware of it. So that's the good thing about it. It's not something that is out of our control. We're not lazy. We don't lack motivation. And that is the good news, right? It's like on some level, your brain, your beautiful brain, it just wants to keep you safe, right? So, some of the ways that we self-sabotage when we are, trying to lose weight, we're trying to change our bodies, we're trying to step into this new version of ourselves, and our brain is like, whoa, this is unsafe, this is uncertain, I feel overwhelmed, and your subconscious starts pulling some old patterns. And my mentor always talks about this as a toddler with a knife, like unattended. That is how your brain is when you are not having awareness of your thoughts and what's going on in it. It's just a toddler, unattended, running rampant with a knife, and something and somebody is going to get hurt. And so I like to think of it that way when I'm not paying attention and becoming aware of how my thoughts are actually producing some things in my life. And so I hope that you enjoy that analogy just like me. But so here are some ways that this could show up for you. And trust me, I've had every single one on this list. So if you're like, some of you might be like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I couldn't be doing that. Like, I wouldn't do that to myself. I've been there too. And then some of you, when you start having more awareness, you're going to be like, yep, check, air check, air check. And don't worry, this is totally normal. I've literally had every single one of these, and it doesn't mean anything if you have more. It doesn't mean anything if you're not aware. Like all we need to do is really pay attention and have more awareness over time. And so just like calm down. And here's my list. So the first one is fear of failure. And this can show up like, I'll never commit to something, so I don't have to fail. And this can show up in definitely, your weight loss, but also really think about other areas that these things might show up in your life, because what we do in one area, we tend to do in other areas. And so if you're noticing that you never fully commit on things, just become a little bit more aware of if this is because you think that maybe you will fail. And really, I hate that word fail because it's like, what does fail even mean? It's just ways that we didn't do it right. So I would love to change your perspective on failure in general, but just pay attention to if you are a perfectionist, you were probably going to have this show up a lot. I remember working with a coworker and brilliant, had really great ideas, but every time this person would be tasked to do something, it was like nothing ever came about like the projects or whatever. It would like this person would never like present anything. It was always like a work in progress. And I think this is like a really heightened, I've never been around somebody that had such a heightened perfectionism complex. But this is how it can show up. It's like you like are always working on something, but you never like just spit it out, you know? And none of us are perfect. There's always going to be better ways to do things, even if you have an amazing idea, project, whatever, there's always a better way to do something and somebody's going to figure that out at some point. And so, I think that I mean, like we're always growing, we're constantly evolving, and it's okay to change our mind. It's okay to change our perspective, and it's okay to work on a weight loss plan and not have results show up right away. It's okay to tweak the plan. Like all of this is just a learning experience and it's our journey. And when we start looking at it in a different way, in a different perspective, it helps definitely the brain and it also helps us to like let go of that. The other way that this might show up is fear of success. If I lose weight, will I be able to maintain it? Will people judge me? And I think that this is a really good one as well. It's like especially the maintaining part. I think that we can and especially if we like yo-yo diet. Like if we're used to being on these on again, off again things, this can really show up like, well, I always gain it back. And that's the problem with these diet plans and these things that are like a fad or a trend. It's like if it's not resonating with you, and this is the work that I do with my clients, if it's not resonating with you, like we're going to find a different way. I am so not a proponent of trying to fit a, square peg in a round hole or whatever the analogy is. I'm very much if I don't care if somebody says like this is really good and science has it backed and like this is amazing. If it does not work for you, then we don't do it. Like I love weightlifting. I want to tell everybody to weightlift. If you don't like weightlifting, that is not your jam. That is not going to work for you. And we don't want to try to force things that will not work because we're not going to adhere to them, especially a diet. So if you are doing a diet that you're like, I just need to lose the weight, so I'm just going to eat this, it's like, it's not going to work. We need to find something that is sustainable, that is balanced, that is giving you all the things that you want. And maybe that looks like not being exactly what you want all the time, but you gotta have things in there that are going to keep you feeling joyful and happy. And because otherwise, it's like, it's just not gonna happen. And I do feel like, the little steps that you take, especially in a diet, is is the best way because when you start incrementally becoming more nutrient dense with your food choices, your body's going to start acclimating to that and start wanting it more. And so if you try to rush into it, it might feel very like, but if we like do these slow progressive steps, you might find a different way. But all of that to say is, if it doesn't align with you, it's probably not going to work. And moving on to unworthiness. So I don't deserve to feel good in my body. I don't deserve to be happy with my weight. I don't deserve to feel like I can put on whatever clothes that I want to put on. This can be a really, really deep rooted one that's going to be hard to surface right away. But especially if you're somebody that has unworthiness show up in other areas of your life, maybe in people pleasing and ways that you communicate. This can be one that is kind of deep down, but if you start paying more attention, you might see that it does show up. The fourth one is identity conflict. I've always been the fun friend who loves food. Who will I be when that changes? Maybe you're always the friend that goes out and has the drink with somebody. Maybe you're the friend that, brings over like goodies when somebody's feeling down or um, just I think that we just have these things in our head. I remember like when I stopped really, I mean, I won't say that I don't drink at all because I allow myself the space to do whatever I want. But I just don't really want to drink anymore. And I know when I cut that out, there was that identity conflict where I'm like, well, are people going to want to hang out now? Like, is it going to be weird? Is it going to be awkward? How is this going to, and you just kind of start getting over that. And that's something that I had to like work through. But there is these things when we start cutting it out, like, if we go out with our friends every Friday for pizza, and then you're now the friend that doesn't want to go out because you don't want to eat the pizza, or maybe you go out and you have a salad and everybody's like, what's going on? You have to be able to be comfortable with yourself and be okay with other people not being okay with what you're doing all the time. And sometimes when we're having, these identity conflicts, it can be hard with people that we're around. And you might notice that your friend group might change, and maybe it won't. But sometimes people are very comfortable with who you are, and it can be hard for them to be around you or to not say things that um, can not really be in a friendly way when you're doing things and they're not, and they feel bad about it. Like people that want also to lose weight, but then you start doing really good and you're really restrictive and you're doing awesome and you're kicking ass. A lot of times it can be like, well, maybe you're doing too much. I think you're getting obsessed. I think this, I think that. And that's what I mean by sometimes we kind of separate from those friends because not only can it hinder your progress because maybe it can put some thoughts in your head, but we just don't want to be around that energy anymore, right? So just know that when you're in your journey, you really got to be okay with yourself and firm in yourself, and you'll learn that along the way. But this might show up in ways outside of yourself. It might show up in ways with the people that you're hanging around. So it's not only your identity that you're kind of like, well, who am I going to be when this happens? Your comfortability group that's around you might also be taking this hard and might be having some conflicts as well. And then the last one I have on my list is emotional attachment to weight. Holding on to weight has been a way to protect myself. And a way of protecting yourself can show up in many different ways. Some of these ways can be if something happened to you physically, then you might put on weight to think that it's not going to happen again. You might hide in baggy clothing. You might hide in dark clothing. I mean, these are different things that we kind of like have an emotional attachment, like, oh, well, people won't talk to us or people won't see us or whatever. These are like the clothing and the baggy clothing and all that kind of stuff can be ways that we hide from ourselves. And one of those ways also is with added weight. And so just I'm adding those different things because I want you to think about it in a different perspective. Like, do I maybe you just like black? And I'm not saying anything about people that like black or baggy clothing, but I want you to pay attention to if you do that, is this another way that you might have this emotional attachment to your identity or what you're doing, how you're showing up with people? Are you really introverted and you don't really want people to see you? And maybe you have no problems with your weight at all, but the like I said, I'm just adding different ways that this might show up, and these categories can show up in different areas of your life. This does not have to be revolved around weight. This is just something that I'm working with my clients, and so I want you to look at it in different aspects of your life and see where this might be showing up for you in these different areas. And if you are doing some of these things, could you possibly have also some emotional attachments to also your weight? If that is something that has been what you're working on or trying to work on. So these beliefs just really run in the back of our brains without us even realizing it, which is why we can get into these self-sabotaging patterns or cycles. So, how do we start getting out of our own way? The key is and always will be awareness because you can't change what you're not aware of. And just like the analogy with the toddler running rampant in the house with a knife, unattended, these are some of the ways that our brain is just like on autopilot. And if we've done these patterns so many times, it's going to revert right back to them. And when we are trying to create new patterns, we are literally trying to create new like neural pathways. And so it does take time to build those pathways and to really connect those new beliefs and those new thoughts in your brain. So here is some of the ways that you can overcome self-sabotage today. And like I said, this is not a bad thing. This is a really good thing because we have control over it. So the first step you want to do is notice the pattern. Every time you procrastinate or you avoid or you mess up, stop to ask yourself, what am I feeling in this moment? And what is the story I'm telling myself? What am I afraid will happen if I succeed? And I don't want you to beat yourself up if you don't notice it right away and you notice it afterwards, because this is really how we create awareness. Is generally it starts after the fact. And then we're like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that I was doing that. Oh, okay, I want to catch it when it happens. But the more that you are just paying attention to why you're doing the things you do, the more you're going to build your awareness. And just like I talked about with belief in those neural pathways, you're going to have to build that up, those neural pathways up to even have awareness of the moment it happens. But it will happen, my friends. Trust me, it will. You just have to just keep at it. It's just like any other thing in life, right? Practice makes perfect. So often the act of just pausing and reflecting is enough to break cycles. And that is amazing if that's you. But if it's not you, you might want to keep practicing this awareness. And then we want to look at shifting our identity. So instead of saying, I'm someone who always self sabotages, or I'm somebody who always starts on Monday, start saying, I'm someone who's learning to support myself. I'm somebody who is learning to have these little increments build up over time. It's really important the way we talk to ourselves and not just out loud. Like words have power, but our thoughts also do. So when we're saying in our head, oh, I'll just start on Monday, that's what I do. No, we're not starting on Monday. I don't care how bad you messed up on a freaking Friday or a Saturday. We are not starting on Monday, okay? We got this. We are going to recognize that we fell off our plan. We didn't do the workout. We did whatever it was that we're trying to accomplish. We didn't do 100%. And that is okay. We are going to pay attention to why we didn't do it. And we're going to work towards a plan if this happens again. And we're just going to move on and keep up with our healthy eating, or we're going to do a 10-minute workout, or we're going to do whatever we need to continue us on. But we're not going to start on Monday, guys. Okay. um, when you really redefine who you are, you act and follow that. Like I love the I'm somebody learning. I use that in so many different ways. But I think that you really like reframing the way we're talking to ourselves, especially when we're like, I can't do that, or I'm never been good at that, or any of those type of words. So good to reframe that to just like I'm learning how to do this, or I've been developing this skill, however you want to say it. But I love that one. So, regulating your nervous system. If your subconscious mind sees weight loss as a threat, we need to show it that we're safe. So, really making sure that we're like regulating that nervous system with some of the breathing techniques. And I have another one, or a somatic therapy, sorry, that we'll be doing this week. But trying to do visualizations, breath work, somatic work, anything that like really calms the nervous system down. Even This is actually a way that we can calm our nervous system down. Some tapping, when we're getting more in our primitive brain, we want to take the focus back to our executive brain. Our executive brain is right here. And so doing tapping, like some people do tapping, or like when you have a headache, you do this. This is a way to kind of take that awareness back into the front of the brain. So if you find yourself like getting really upset or feeling overwhelmed, sometimes it's good to like tap on the between the eyebrows or anywhere up in this area. Taking small aligned actions. So self-sabotage thrives in overwhelm. Instead of that all or nothing thinking like I know so many of you love to do, focus on one small aligned task. So instead of like I have to eat perfectly, focus on maybe one balanced meal within your routine. Instead of I need to work out every single day, why don't you start just moving your body for 10 minutes every day? Or just today? Or just, picking out 3 days out of the week. Sometimes it helps for people to get ready for the gym and then show up to the parking lot. Sometimes they have to like take it slow and then go in for 10 minutes. I know every time I don't want to work out, I always tell myself I'm just going to do like one or two machines. Literally. I don't even care if that's all I do. But guess what? That's not all I do. Because, like, once I'm there, I'm like, well, I'm here now. I might as well do it. And I think that that's some of the ways when we work out, even for 10 minutes at home. It's like, I'm just going to ride my bike for 10 minutes. I usually end up doing like 20 or 30 minutes. You put on a show, you just like kind of zone out, whatever it is for you. But even if you just do that 10 minutes, amazing. It's 10 more minutes than you did not do or you wouldn't have done otherwise, right? Like, I think that we think these little small things aren't going to add up, but they really do add up over time. And not only do they add up over time, you start enjoying it. So you start doing it more. It's like, when I work with women that are like, I have no time to do this, I have no time to do this. And then when they start like really fitting little things into their schedule, they start noticing how much their body likes it, how much their mind likes it, how much they just like align when they're doing it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I'm actually like taking more time out of my schedule to plan these things because you realize how important they are. And that's the thing with saying that you don't have time or you're too busy. It's never about time. It's never about busy. It's about priorities. Where are your priorities? And maybe right now you don't realize how important that health makes you feel, how much benefit it makes you have in your life, in your routine, in your energy. And so you don't put it as a priority. But when you start making those small little increments with your time and doing these tiny little things, you start realizing how much you want to make it a priority because you feel good when you do it. It makes you feel more energy. It makes you have better sleep. It creates this space of release for your stress. It regulates your nervous system. All of these little things that it does, it opens up and you start having those priorities. And I love it when I see those shifts in people. It makes me so happy. All right. So, um, I want to know if you have any awareness today. And if you did, please leave me a comment about how this is showing up in your life. If you have one of these categories, um, fear of failure, fear of success, unworthiness, identity conflict, emotional attachment to weight, if any of these you have noticed are like, oh, that really resonated with me, like right away, I would love for you to drop it in the comments. And if it doesn't, if you can't see these patterns, but you do notice ways that you're self-sabotaging and you're brave to leave it in the comments, leave it in there below. But if you don't want to put your business out in the world and really this is a very safe community, so we're all here to support one another. But if you don't feel like you want to do that but this really did resonate, please just drop a fire emoji in the comments. I would love for you to just kind of engage with this post and let me know that what I'm saying is bringing a little bit of value or clarity to your life. So remember that it's these cycles are really broken with that awareness and giving yourself grace, and it is not a bad thing. We have control over everything, and that is the best part. So, you are not alone in this. We all struggle with this, whether we are aware of it or not. And I wish you the most amazing luck on all of your journeys. And I will talk to you tomorrow.